following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
How do you define greatness? A relentless pursuit of success at the highest level, combined with an uncompromised desire to face any and every challenger. Gennady Triple G Golovkin, big drama show, rose from relative obscurity to conquer the boxing world.
There is a monster in the middleweight division.
With jaw-dropping displays of power and precision, the Kazakh Predator hunts for an unparalleled 23rd straight knockout. Standing in his way, undefeated Englishman Kell Brook, a welterweight title holder who moves up for a shot at the middleweight crown. Brook dares to be great and puts his unblemished record on the line against the bigger man. The exemplification of greatness on display today. Gennady Triple G Golovkin versus Kell Brook is next. Boxing has traveled to London, England for a special edition of World Championship Boxing. We're live from a sold-out O2 Arena for what appears a possibly very intriguing matchup between Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook, the reigning middleweight champ against a current welterweight champ. It's always a big drama show with Triple G fights, so we're in for a treat in front of 19,000 mostly partisan Brook fans here in London tonight. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. Welcome to this very special HBO World Championship Boxing telecast, the beginning of a full day of boxing here on HBO. First, on this daytime telecast, we're going to see the live fight between Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook. Later tonight, you'll see 3 fights in one telecast. The tape replay of this, along with Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez against Carlos Cuadras, and the rematch of Jesus Soto Karass and Yamashita Kamagai, a tremendous fight from earlier this week. Here in London, working with me to cover Gennady Golovkin against Kell Brook is the great Bernard Hopkins. And Bernard, all the attention flows to the fact that Brook, a welterweight champion, is choosing to go up in weight 13 pounds to fight the dominant middleweight of the moment, Gennady Golovkin. So does that make this perhaps a relatively easy Golovkin defense because he's going against a smaller man, a welterweight, or a more difficult Golovkin defense because Brook is a skilled welterweight with welterweight-type speed and an unbeaten record?
I think it can be difficult for Triple G because, you know, Kell Brook is one of those guys that know how to box, know how to use his jab, and use it effectively. He had one of the second or the first highest jab output in boxing. And, you know, to make history, you dare to be great, he's jumping up 2 weight classes to make history. And to me, Jim, he should be commended for that, but a win is a win, and he must go in there with a game plan that can offset and also maybe frustrate Triple G to have a chance in this fight to win.
And of course, a lot of the attention that goes to Triple G attends that 22 consecutive knockout streak. It's the largest knockout streak in the middleweight division. He has the highest knockout percentage ever for a middleweight champion. And we're going to take a look right now, Bernard, at some highlights from how Triple G has fought in recent fights, and he's shown some style variations. We're going to go back to last fall when he fought against Canadian David Lemieux. Lemieux is a slugger himself. He thought that a battle of wills between 2 slugging knockout punchers was going to be something that could work in his favor, and Golovkin from the very beginning demonstrated to him that it wouldn't be that kind of a fight.
He did. He demonstrated that not only is he a puncher, but he's a puncher boxer that can take steps, can set you up, and also can use that jab effectively that you watch right now to the body, but he also went back up with the jab, and that surprised Lemieux. David Lemieux didn't know he had it in him, but the world seen it that night.
So Lemieux didn't get the kind of fight he wanted, and Golovkin was able to do this for 8 full rounds, jabbing Lemieux into submission, mixing in body shots, and ultimately putting Lemieux away for the technical knockout victory. That was one demonstration of the kind of superiority that Gennady Golovkin can present in the ring. But then in his first fight this year, he faced an entirely different kind of opponent. We're looking here at the finishing stages of what he did to David Lemieux, showing Lemieux that boxers can punch, and he boxed brilliantly that night on the way to victory. So now, in his next fight, Bernard, he got ready to face a Philadelphia middleweight named Dominic Wade. Wade was unbeaten, just as Kell Brook will be unbeaten coming here tonight. Wade thought that he was the same size as Golovkin, and that in either a boxing match or a fight, he would be okay. Golovkin came in and showed a completely different style than the one he had employed in the previous fight against Lemieux.
Yeah, he showed that he's an all-around fighter, a fighter that can do both, a fighter that can come forward, a fighter that can go ahead and come to the side, to the back, and also actually be a slugger. And this is where he shows that ability. He shows that ability to be able to set him up from the boxing point of view and also from a puncher's point of view. In the overhand right there, put Wade to the canvas.
Here in the second round, Golovkin once again setting up right hands upstairs with left hands to the body, and ultimately dropping his hands, allowing Wade to hit him, showing off the strength of his chin as he's done in some of his recent fights, and then eventually putting Wade away with the right hand. So in those two fights, against Lemieux and against Wade, Golovkin demonstrated that he can punch to be the puncher, or he can box to be the puncher. And here's the graphic that shows you where Gennady Golovkin ranks in the CompuBox plus-minus ranking. Plus-minus is a statistic which shows the difference between the percentage of punches that you land and the percentage of punches that the opponent lands. Normally, it would favor a boxer-puncher like Andre Ward, but Golovkin, seen by many as a pure puncher, ranks second among plus-minus behind Andre Ward. And now let's get ready to talk about Kell Brook. Kell Brook is by nature a boxer with a punch. He made it to the championship level in the welterweight division a couple of years ago when he knocked off Sean Porter of the United States. Let's take a look at that fight, Bernard, and tell us what he was able to do to point the win over Porter.
Here,
that's Brook on the left.
yeah,
And he was the taller of these two fighters.
He was the taller of these two fighters, and also he was using that jab effectively. And when Porter got in close, he topped Porter up, which is a smart move by a bigger man because he's uncomfortable fighting inside. Porter putting the pressure on, but trying now to put speed along with power, which is what Porter is trying to do. But listen, when you look at the styles of one man to the other, you got height versus a guy that's short. And the right uppercut, as you just seen right now, was effective when he threw the punch.
Ultimately, this fight went the distance. It was a close enough decision, but a majority decision for Brook, who used his jab and his foot movement to win the fight over Porter. And now he becomes the latest in a long line of welterweight champions in history who have tried to move up to win the middleweight championship. And you see that truly great fighters like Henry Armstrong and Sugar Ray Robinson have been able to do it. Carmen Basilio was able to do it against an older Sugar Ray Robinson. But then against truly great middleweights, some of the welterweights who moved up, like Starling and Napolis, were not able to get the big victory. Bernard, let's talk a little bit more about Kell Brook. We saw the Lemieux highlights that showed you what an outstanding jabber Golovkin is, and by CompuBox numbers, Golovkin is the #1 jabber in the sport, the only fighter who lands more than 10 jabs per round. But #2 is Kell Brook, and jab will be very critical to his chances to beat Gennady Golovkin tonight.
Yes, the jab will be critical because as Kell Brook doesn't use that jab, he lets Triple G come in and do what he wants. If he wants to keep that door shut, he must keep that door shut by keeping that jab constantly in Triple G's face. Because the jab sets up everything that comes after that. The right hand or left hook, the right uppercut, whatever comes after the jab is in definitely dire need for Kell Brook because Triple G is going to come with pressure.
From the moment that the fight was announced, Bernard, the focus has been on the fact that Brook is a smaller man, a welterweight, moving up to fight Golovkin. But one of the governing bodies for whom Golovkin holds the middleweight belt, the IBF, insists on a pre-fight weigh-in 1 month before the fight. And 1 month before this fight, Kell Brook weighed 178 pounds and Gennady Golovkin weighed 167. 1 week before this fight, Kell Brook weighed 168 pounds and Gennady Golovkin was at 162. So which one is really the smaller fighter?
Well, definitely not Kell Brook. Kell Brook has enough size and enough height to even things out when it comes to the 160 division. But one thing separates the weight division between one and the other, and that is Triple G and Kell Brook, is that Triple G is comfortable at 160. He's been at 160. He's been successful, undefeated at 160. I think that there is a different 160 when you step in the ring with a Triple G. But Kell Brook has an opportunity right now, of course, to show that he wanted to get out of that bottle. He wanted his body to now move up where he don't have to starve himself.
Brook went up more than 30 pounds after his last welterweight fight. Seems to have wanted to hold on to as many of those pounds as he could for as long as he could coming into this fight. And by the way, we are here not as the lead broadcaster. The lead broadcaster for this fight is Britain Sky TV. So they control the schedule, and we may at times have to adjust to follow them as we get ready to bring fighters into the ring. Now let's look at the tail of the tape for Gennady Golovkin against Kell Brook. And you see the 4-year age advantage for Brook. He's in the middle of the prime of his career at age 30. Golovkin is already 34, and the clock is ticking as he looks to get bigger and more important fights. A 1.5-inch height advantage for Golovkin. They both are equal in arm length at 24 inches. And following up on that weight theme with Kell Brook as the heavier man coming in, he weighed in at 159.4. And Golovkin was under 159 pounds, more than a pound away from the 160-pound middleweight limit. One more graphic now, and we take a look at what I mentioned before. On the scales, at the 30-day weigh-in, Brook 11 pounds heavier than Golovkin. At the 7-day weigh-in, Brook 6 pounds heavier than Golovkin, and then ultimately their weights at the weigh-in yesterday. Bernard Hopkins, Kell Brook had to take off about 7 pounds in the last week prior to the weigh-in. Is that a distraction coming into the fight?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a distraction, Jim. I think it's more of a trying out, knowing where your weight is at. Obviously, he monitors weight way before he gets to the weigh-in, day before, 10 days before. You know, this is something that we are accustomed of doing. And, you know, I think that he is comfortable now at 160 because, as he said to us at the fighters meeting, that he feels comfortable, that is, Kell Brook, at that weight division. So let's see. But I don't think the 7-day had anything or will have any effect on the outcome, win or lose on this fight.
As we continue to follow the narrative of Golovkin's career, there's another star fighter whose name is now attached to the buildup for every Golovkin fight, and that man is Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is fighting next week in Dallas against Liam Smith. He knows that everything he does from now on is going to be compared with what Golovkin does. Golovkin knows that just as Canelo fought a smaller man in Amir Khan in his last fight, he's now fighting what's perceived to be a smaller man in Kell Brook. So Canelo knocked out Khan in the 6th round. Is there a natural urge for Golovkin here to try to get rid of Brook before the 6th round?
Well, I think that if you want to make a statement, which I believe Triple G want to, because A, he wants to not only tie my record, but beat the middleweight division record, but he also wants just a message why he believes that Canelo wouldn't fight him and that he's the most feared guy on the planet of boxing. So yes, he must, and I believe he has that in him, that he wants to prove something. He might say no, but I believe as a fighter, as a person that wants to send a statement, will do something like that because it's only a natural thing to do if you want to make a statement loud and clear that you are the most feared man on this planet.
As we wait for fighters to walk to the ring, we showed you highlights of the title-winning effort for Kell Brook against Sean Porter of the United States a couple of years ago. We're going to take a look now at Kell Brook in his most recent welterweight championship defense against Kevin Bizier of Canada. And as we look at this is a chance to see Brook fighting as the larger man, because in the welterweight division, he was bigger than his opponents, and he was bigger than Bizier in this fight.
Well, yes, he got an opportunity now to fight the weight. As you see now, he's bigger and he's more quicker, but he also understands that now that he gets to fight in a weight that he's comfortable. He's been starving himself, as he says, quote, living in a bottle. Now he's out of that bottle, and he get a chance to shock the world. He get a chance to make history, or at least start history, by winning with Triple G.
And let's take a look at one more graphic now, which offers a comment on the styles of the two fighters. The numbers you're going to see on this graphic, a round-by-round profile of Gennady Golovkin versus Kell Brook. And you can see that Brook, in an average round for him, lands 19 out of 56 punches. That's very good. But Gennady Golovkin is a middleweight who is throwing 68 punches per round. No other middleweight throws more than 60 punches per round, so his pace is enormous. And 27 landed punches per round, that's just an extraordinarily high percentage, Bernard.
Very high percentage. Very high percentage, and also accurate, Jim. Not only is he throwing these punches, he's making these punches count, and he's making them count big time.
I can't hear you very well, and I don't know how well they can hear us, but the crowd is singing Sweet Caroline behind us, and with the unanimity of how they're singing, 19,000 voices, you get an idea of how much noise there's going to be for Kell Brook if he's able to do something meaningful in the fight.
Yes, it would be exciting for the fans here. And you know, if they're singing the way they're singing now, I don't think nobody be able to hear anybody if he pulls that off.
We've had a long undercard here. There hasn't been a single fight on the undercard which came anywhere close to providing the kind of dynamism and magic that the crowd is expecting from Kell Brook and Gennady Golovkin. Golovkin has sold out arenas in Los Angeles, in New York, and now he sells out an arena here in London. This is the building not just of a championship career, but a global icon career.
Oh yes, absolutely, because you know, he's gained fans all around in the States and also here in Europe. And when you have that star power, there's only sky's the limit. Now he has to do now is execute every fight until he recognizes that people recognize he's the best.
And there you see Gennady Golovkin waiting calmly in his dressing room while all of this chaos takes place out here in the arena behind us. And as Golovkin prepares for all this, he's focusing, of course, on his own background and experience. 350 amateur fights, 345 wins, unbeaten now as a professional. That kind of backlog of success gives one tremendous confidence. But meanwhile, I can see looking over your shoulder, Bernard, Kell Brook is coming down the hallway and is preparing to enter the ring. We expect a huge response from the crowd. They're already looking on big screens here in the arena as they watch Kell Brook walk in. There's got to be a lot of excitement in this man's heart. He has come from relative obscurity, living in northern England in Sheffield, to become now the giant star of British boxing.
Yes, and the Brits are right now showing they love, and they've always been great fans of boxing, but they're going to absolutely go overboard, above and beyond, to back their man, to support their man. And the British has always been that way, but there's no surprise to me, Jim. And you hear them loud and clear, because I barely can hear you, so I'm reading your lips, and I believe you barely hear me, and you're reading my lips.
As a welterweight champion, Bernard, Kell Brook is accustomed to walking to the ring second, while his opponent waits in the ring for him. Tonight, because they're fighting for Golovkin's middleweight titles, Brook is coming to the ring first, and then he will wait in the ring for Golovkin. What is the psychological difference?
In this situation, I don't think Kell Brook is worried about whether he first or second in this situation, because this is a unique situation. Not only is he attempting to be in the books of jumping 2 weight classes to be middleweight, but he's also fighting here in his hometown, in his country. So that itself, he believes that he's first, now he got to be first, and tries to pull off the biggest upset, or one of the biggest upsets in the last 15 years.
And it must be an awfully long hallway. And as we wait for the British television network to complete its business and bring Kell Brook into the ring, the crowd is already hyped up in rampant anticipation of the excitement they expect to see. One more graphic now before the fighters enter the ring. And now let's go to Michael Buffer in the ring.
From the O2 Arena, London, England. Let's get this party started! And now, coming to the ring first, from Sheffield, England, the challenger, the undefeated, the special one, Special K. Brook!
Produced Prince Naseem Hamed. He is trained by the son of the man who trained Prince Naseem Hamed. And although Brook is similarly built to Hamed with tremendous strength in his thighs and his lower body, he did not ultimately evolve into the Prince Hamed style, but rather became more of a pure boxer, which shows, Bernard, that he knows himself and knows what's best for him.
And not only that, Jim, he wants his own identity, but I'm not being fooled by he having took anything from the Prince Naseem era, because, you know, that's not something that, you know, you take lightly, because it helps you, not hurt you. So I think that he's grown into himself, but I also think having a coach of Prince Naseem is a good thing, not a bad thing. And also he gets teachings from what Prince was good for, to be able to use it as his own weapon.
Prince Naseem, who has been somewhat hidden from public view in recent years, is in fact here at ringside tonight. I know, Bernard, you had a great conversation with Prince Naseem prior to getting on the air here.
Yes, I had a great conversation with Prince Naseem, and one conversation was, how the hell did you get so big?
Well, he'd like to be in the kind of shape you're in, that's for sure. So there is Dominic Ingle speaking energetically to his charge, Kell Brook, as they now wait in the ring for the arrival of the middleweight champion, Gennady Golovkin, known to the world as Triple G. Triple G is the holder of 3 middleweight championship belts. Only 2 of them are being contested here tonight, because one of the 3 governing bodies felt that Brook was not a worthy opponent and therefore did not designate this as a championship fight.
Gennady Golovkin, a.k.a. Triple G.
a row. And there are millions of others who root for him to get his comeuppance. So once again, he faces the question, is it hype or is it reality?
This is reality. This is reality because, listen, you got to put him in there to knock him down, and he's been knocking him down. And so to me, and I believe to most people that realize it's not in denial, this is absolutely reality.
Golovkin waves to the crowd as he steps between the ropes. Standing directly behind Gennady Golovkin is his fraternal twin brother, Max. They entered the amateur boxing program together in Kazakhstan. Ultimately, Max backed away from boxing so that the spotlight could fall on his twin brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will honor challenger and champion with their respective national anthems. First, for the challenger, God Save the Queen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the defending world champion, the national anthem of Kazakhstan. Ladies and gentlemen, from the legendary O2 Arena, London, England, Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing and K2 Promotions Managing Director Tom Loeffler, along with Triple G Promotions, are proud to present the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the middleweight championship of the world. Sponsored by Tesla Bank, Expo 2017, Capital Holding, StubHub, JD Sports, WeBuyAnything.com, and Dafabet. Broadcast by Sky Sports Pay-Per-View and HBO. Sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, President and Steward in charge tonight, Charles Giles. The World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, Supervisor Alberto Leon. The International Boxing Federation, President and Supervisor tonight, Darrell F. Peoples. The International Boxing Organization, President and Supervisor tonight, Ed Levine. The three judges scoring: from Italy, Guido Cavalieri; from Canada, Craig Metcalf; from Canada, Benoit Rousseau; and in charge of the action at the bell, World Championship veteran referee Marlon Wright from Canada. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the officials are in place and they are ready. The fighters are in the ring and they are ready. Boxing fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from the O2 Arena, London, England, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, with his trainer, Dominic Ingle, wearing red with gold trim. Official weight, 11 stone, 5 pounds, 1/2 ounce, or 159.4 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one, consisting of 36 fights, 36 victories, including 25 wins by knockout, with 16 stoppages inside the distance in his last 20 contests. Tonight, he is the challenger. He's the fighting pride of Sheffield, Yorkshire, England, the undefeated welterweight champion of the world, the special one, Kell Special K. And across the ring, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, with his trainer, Abel Sanchez, officially weighing in at 11 stone, 5 pounds, or 158.9 pounds. As a professional, also a perfect record. 35 fights, 35 victories, including 32 wins by knockout, including 22 consecutive KOs, and he has KO'd every opponent he's faced over the last 8 years. This Olympic medalist from Karaganda, Kazakhstan, is the reigning, defending, undefeated, universally recognized, true middleweight champion of the world, Gennady Golovkin, a.k.a. Triple G.
Okay, gentlemen, I gave you both my instruction in the dressing room. I want a good, clean fight. Remember, protect yourself at all times, and you must obey my command at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up.
50 years ago, Emil Griffith took on Dick Tiger as a welterweight champion facing a middleweight champion in Madison Square Garden, and he won the fight. In 1987, Ray Leonard was seen by most as a welterweight when he moved up in weight after a long absence from the ring and took the middleweight crown from Marvelous Marvin Hagler. There have been many others who tried. Can Kell Brook follow in the footsteps of fighters like Leonard and Griffith? We're about to see as he goes against Gennady Golovkin. There was a full-scale wave of speculation on the web, particularly in America yesterday, on the notion that Gennady Golovkin was ill under the weather, didn't look good at the weigh-in. He and everyone in his camp says there is no truth whatsoever to that. He feels fine, and to us, he looked as though he felt perfectly all right. Agreed, Bernard?
Well, he looks good now, and he's been who he is. He comes forward, he's looking for shots. To me, if this would a guy look like when he's sick, God knows what he look like when he's well. No, I think he's fine. I think it was just a rumor, and he said it wasn't true.
Stalking much more aggressively than he did early in the Lemieux fight, looking more the way he did against Dominic Wade, trying to get in and land power shots. He takes a right hand from Brook as he's trying to land his left hook.
Brook got some swelling and maybe a little bruise from the left hook. From the right eye, from a left hook, from Triple G. Triple G is setting him up, and if he stay on that rope...
Body shot, Brook is in trouble. And Brook reaches out and grabs Gennady Golovkin and gathers him to him after Golovkin hammered him to the liver with a body shot.
If Kell Brook stay on that rope, he will not survive in this fight. He has to fight his fight. Right now, he's being overwhelmed and overpowered.
Uppercut by Brook. Left hook brought the crowd alive. Golovkin nodding at him as if to say, okay, I tasted what you've got.
Kell Brook is not staying in the middle of the ring. He got hurt. I think he's still hurt. And he has to now find a way to survive this round because Triple G is continuing to put pressure and he's continuing to make his punches count.
Golovkin missed with the right hand over the top. Tapped Kell Brook with the left hook. Brook trying to fire body shots of his own to back Golovkin off a little bit.
Brook has established that jab more than just one punch. He's throwing a jab, Brook, and throwing one punch at a time and going back towards the rope. He must keep Triple G in the center of the ring and try to at least get him surrounds under the belt where he can go ahead and figure it out.
Triple G is #1 in the sport by top-you-box count in landing jabs. There's a good uppercut for Brook. There's a right hand for Brook. And now Golovkin comes back with the left hook. There's a mark outside Golovkin's left eye from the right hand by Kell Brook. 15 seconds left in round one. Both fighters have made statements.
Golovkin wants Kell to try to get brave and try to be brave because that gives the puncher a bigger chance. Triple G will have a bigger and a greater chance in exchange.
Crowd is happy with what they saw in round one.
The middle, then outside, okay? Little uppercut, either hand, doesn't matter.
Here's the left. Because of Kell being on the rope, he got caught with the left to the kidney, rather, and he should have been moving, but he stayed there and got hit with a right hand. How to avoid that right hand is not be on the ropes. If he continues to on the ropes, this will happen more often.
That was the biggest moment of round one when Brook reached out and grabbed Golovkin to pull him to him after the two left hands. There's the uppercut that landed for Brook, and there's the right hand, which may be the reason for a small mark outside of Golovkin's left eye. So both fighters are marked from the action in round one. Veteran referee Marlon Wright staying away and creating some distance to give freedom of movement to Golovkin and Brook.
Brook must be active with that jab. He must be consistent with that jab. Not only patient, but consistent. Because if he sits there and wait and take a picture and look at Triple G, then he will receive, and he don't want to be on the end of those punches. He has to be first every time an exchange is being thrown by both men. And if he's not first, I don't believe he can take the power in a long fight with Triple G.
Well, for better or for worse, he's not trying to stay away. Brook seems to have accepted the reality that he's going to have to fight with Triple G. Maybe he wants it that way, and they're trading in the center of the ring. And right now, Brook is getting the better of it as Gennady keeps his hands back.
But he must not get too brave when he get too comfortable, because Triple G is a high percentage knockout punch, but he can't, Kell Brook can't think about the power, but he must think about what can happen as far as knockdown, hurt like he was before, so he must be conscious of that.
Golovkin going to his jab now. Didn't seem interested in jabbing as much in round one. Now jabbing, set up the right hand. And Golovkin landing a series of jabs before sweeping a right hand across Brook.
Brook just threw a nice short counter left hook that caught Triple G coming in.
Golovkin has not been knocked down in his professional career. And he says never in his amateur career either. 350 fights. 1 minute left in round number 2.
Brook is waiting to counter when Triple G throws one punch or a wild punch. He's waiting to counter. He's a better counter puncher when Triple G is coming in.
Uppercut by Brook. Crowd comes out of its seats, excited by the uppercut. Brook getting in some heavy shots here in round number 2. Golovkin gets in a right hand over the top. But Brook comes back with a 4-punch combination. Crowd's getting very excited.
It started with an uppercut. Brook threw a punch, and then he threw the uppercut, and he threw the uppercut again, and then he threw the right hand behind it. He's starting to put his punches together, and if he continue to do this in the later rounds, where he buys himself time, where he wears out Triple G to the point where Triple G is throwing one punch and trying to throw the knockout punch, then he might have something here.
Brook seems to have realized early on that Golovkin wants to put pressure on him, wants to put him in a box, and he's landed effective uppercuts in both of the first 2 rounds. Later tonight, more live boxing here on HBO. Watch flyweight champ Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez attempt to win a title in his 4th weight class as he takes on Carlos Cuadras. And if you've missed any part of Triple G against Brook, we'll show a replay of this fight after the Chocolatito bout. Want more? After the replay, stay tuned for the premiere of Road to Canelo Smith, following Canelo Alvarez and Liam Smith as they prepare for next Saturday's pay-per-view matchup in Dallas.
Brook setting up that left uppercut because he threw the right lead first, and he's seen his punch because before the round he tried it and he missed it. This is the punch that can be effective if you continue to throw it in spots where it's needed.
Golovkin hasn't lost very many rounds recently in his career, but he may well have lost the 2nd round here against Kell Brook.
Brook must not get too brave, but smart enough to fight a smart man fight.
Referee Marlon Wright is going to call that a slip rather than a knockdown. Golovkin totally in agreement.
Now you see
Golovkin putting a lot of pressure on Brook.
He's trying to now rush because what is urgency? Is urgency because he see himself getting outboxed and getting hit with some shots that he never got hit with. And I'm pretty sure his trainer told him to go out there now and start putting pressure and start changing the tone of this fight. He's digging to the body with a 3-punch combination. Triple G, jab, right hand, left hook to the body, and got the attention of Brook. Brook didn't like that combination punch and definitely didn't like that left hand to the body.
And unlike in the 2nd round, when Brook was able to keep a lot of the action in the center of the ring where he likes it, Golovkin has been able to get him to the ropes a couple of times here in round number 3. Hard right hand by Golovkin. Just misses with the left hook.
Golovkin don't want Brook to now get confidence. If Brook continue to win rounds here and there and go into late rounds, then Golovkin's going to have really a serious problem catching up. Not that he's in losing the fight, but he must now try to go ahead and establish his dominance. He's walking in, not even ducking. He's coming in just wanting to throw the power punch, but not be leery or worry about the jab because he's so confident that he can hit Brook and maybe hurt him.
And Brook got a chance at a clean right hand there and landed a glancing blow. If he had landed it solidly, it could have hurt Golovkin.
I think he is hurt, Jim. He got hit with a short uppercut just now with the right hand, and Brook is now throwing more than one punch. He's throwing right hands behind the left jab. If he continues to stay poised and pick at shots, but not get caught in a shootout or a fight where he gets the bad end of it.
Brook is trying to build something memorable here. Golovkin is trying to reverse the momentum immediately. And Gennady gasping for breath. Those people who thought he was ill yesterday may be thinking again that they were onto something. But Golovkin keeps bearing in and putting pressure on Kell Brook here in round 3.
If you look at Brook's right eye, it's starting to swell badly. And Triple G just threw a left and a straight right on that same eye with the left hand.
And Brook comes back aggressively, winning the admiration of the crowd. An excellent third round for both fighters.
I want to see jabs. I want to see something in here when he's up against the ropes, all right? Then throw the jab. Get closer, baby. Come on. You're reaching for that hook. Hey, it's a matter of time. Just keep pounding on that, okay? Now, when you're throwing the body shot, go with the arm. Don't move. See or it's okay. Right? Just get to the
Here's Golovkin now seeing a position of throwing the right hand, which he did a right hook that came around the left hand of Brook. And the punch is there because he's sitting there. Now here we go with Kell throwing the same right hand and getting justice with it by throwing combinations after the jab.
Gennady Golovkin has not thrown what I would call a lot of wild or desperation punches in the fights we've seen up to this moment. But he is swinging away sometimes here against Kell Brook, seeming to feel a sense of urgency because Brook, at moments here and there, is outboxing him, competing with him, perhaps won the second round. And Gennady Golovkin finds himself, it appears, in the closest thing to a real fight so far in this dominant career.
And some frustrations. Triple G showing some frustrations because, listen, Brook is actually putting in a good boxing, but not running. Boxing, moving, punching, slipping. Every now and then, Brook stays on the ropes and he pays a price, and his corners continue to tell him, don't be on the ropes, be in the center of the ring, or keep moving left to right. As you see on the ropes, Triple G has a shot when he's on the ropes.
And Triple G tried so hard to land something big against Brook that he dropped his hands and left himself wide open to a Brook right hand.
Brook face right now.
Landing some solid punches. Golovkin taking them so far.
Yes, and Brook's face right now is showing the effect of the power of Triple G.
By the way, Harold Letterman is scoring this off of a television monitor in Los Angeles, where he'll be working tonight at ringside. And we're told that Harold has it scored 2-1 so far for Golovkin. He did indeed give the second round to Kell Brook, as I suggested might be the case. Golovkin placing body shots now.
One thing Brook haven't went back to, which was successful to me, was the uppercut. Whether it's coming from the left side or the right side, he hasn't thrown that punch since the first and second round.
And he was successful with it in both the first and second rounds. Golovkin sticking the jab.
They both throwing rapid punches.
Both fighters' faces have shown damage from the shots they've landed in the first 3 rounds. Golovkin is trying to hammer Brook to the liver one more time with the left hand. The way he hurt him in the first round, hasn't managed to land it here in the fourth.
It looked like Triple G is just actually, pushing his punches. Doesn't look like he have any snap on it, Jim. It doesn't look like he had the power that in speed. What I mean, speed. The power is there, but the speed is not there. They seem like arm punches, like he's throwing punches hard, but they have no snap on it. We call them arm punches in boxing. Brook is much sharper, much cleaner. See the shoulder
by Brook. Those are the kind of punches that Golovkin isn't landing at this point.
And he's getting hit spot on.
Next Saturday night is your next chance to check out superstar Canelo Alvarez. Coming off his ferocious knockout of Amir Khan, Canelo now moves down in weight to face Liam Smith for a 154-pound title belt that Smith currently owns. That's next week, only on HBO pay-per-view.
Trust me, I'm watching every moment. I'm watching every moment. You understand?
Dominic Ingle
I'm watching everything what's going on.
This is called the bait and switch. This is called the bait and switch. He pulled him in to counter him. He pulled him in to throw a punch, which is Triple G. He threw the punch, he missed the punch, and he got countered with a good right hand.
Once I don't see Kell Brook, that's it. You're going to be there. You're still there. Right? Come shield. What do you want? What do you want?
There's some urgency from Ingle talking to Brook as the swelling is starting to grow around Brook's eyes. As round 5 begins, let's go quickly to Harold Letterman to see how he scored the first 4 rounds. Harold?
Okay, Jim, I've got it 3 rounds to 1. 39-37 Gennady Golovkin. You know, Jim, he keeps pushing him back, keeps landing hard shots. I just think that, he's landing the cleaner, harder punches. But I got to tell you, Jim, Kell Brook got some jaw. I mean, I haven't seen a guy stand there and trade with Gennady Golovkin in God knows how long. 3-1, Golovkin.
And Golovkin delivers his fiercest rally of the fight as Harold completes that scoring summary. Now Brook holding out his arms as if to say, you're not hitting me at all, as Golovkin does miss a series, but he landed a couple of hard right hands when he first got Brook to the ropes, Bernard.
And Brook is putting his hands up like he wasn't hurt, but he might be hurt later by the accumulation of those punches. So I think he should stay focused. I think he was hurt a little bit, and I think that's the reason that you do those things, is to let your opponent know that you're not hurt, but that normally means the opposite.
Brook was momentarily rubbing his right eye with his glove. Now he lashes out and manages to knock Golovkin back with a couple of clean shots.
But he's leaving his feet, Jim, when he throws a punch, and not only is no power on those punches, he leaves himself to get countered like he just did with a straight right. And I believe he's hurt with this, and now Triple G is going to keep him there if he can.
Brook once again erupts off the ropes. We're only halfway through the 5th round. Golovkin is now landing body shots again, as he did in round number 1.
And yes, he is. He's pop-shotting right now, and as you see, a straight right.
And Dominic Ingle in the far corner is holding up a towel. Ingle is trying to get referee Marlon Wright to stop the fight, and now he finally throws the towel into the ring, and Gennady Golovkin is going to have a technical knockout victory in round number 5. And that's an amazing decision on the part of Dominic Ingle. We saw his urgency between rounds prior to that round, but who would have thought that he was on the verge of getting up on the ropes with a towel? Bernard, your shot.
I don't agree.
You don't understand it?
I don't understand it. He was getting hit with shots, Jen, but you seen the heart in him. He got hurt early in the fight. He really fought back in those rounds to get to where he at least was in that same position, but he got out of that position. I don't see no difference than when he got hurt earlier than that stoppage of being buzzed to the point where he stopped the fight.
We're going to have to wait to hear what Dominic Ingle has to say about what he did. Obviously, it's going to be fascinating to hear what Kell Brook thinks about the stoppage and about how he was doing to that point in the fight against Gennady Golovkin. The crowd is mystified, to say the least, but the fight is stopped, and Golovkin has a technical knockout victory. Knockout number 23 in a row. This is earlier in round 5, Bernard.
Exactly. Here's it right now. To me, he's just as hurt here, where his legs is not under him.
And there you can see Dominic Ingle waving the towel.
And so that's what I believe that, you know, is a bad stoppage. Let the man finish. This is an opportunity to make history, an opportunity to fight your way back. That's what we do.
Engel must have thought that the tide had turned, that his fighter was in effect out of the fight, and he wanted to prevent further damage to a great welterweight fighter, if in fact he's going to go back to welterweight, or maybe a terrific junior middleweight or middleweight, depending on where his future lies. But it looked as though Engel had made a decision to protect Brook's future.
I think it was more of emotions. I think that was the decisions off emotions and not off of what's at stake. And to me, personally, I don't think as a fighter and also as a person outside looking in that a fighter wants to go out on his back if he has to for an opportunity like this. And to me, he wasn't as hurt as he was round 2, round 3. Whenever those rounds earlier was, he wasn't as hurt as he was hurt now.
And it seemed like a tremendous opportunity because both you and I think, were observing that Golovkin wasn't at his best. This was not a sharp effort in particular by Gennady Golovkin.
It was a lot of arm. It was a lot of arm punches by Triple G. It was a lot of sucking air in, and I didn't see the snap on his punches. I seen him following more than cutting the ring off and actually throwing punches, you know, with meaning to it, to the body and to the head. Tonight was a night I think he was vulnerable than any fight that ever watched him.
I thought he was vulnerable too, particularly if Brook could have been more precise with his counter punches. But at the end of the day, Golovkin did enough damage, particularly in round 5, for the people in Brook's corner to choose to bring an end to it. That was not a decision by referee Marlon Wright to stop the fight. That was a decision by Kell Brook's corner. And Golovkin, among many things that he must be feeling, you would have to assume that relief is one of them. That was the easy way out.
One of them is relief, and you know, to still be on that run of defenses and also victory. Yes, a win is a win, and however he got it, he did his job.
Standing in front of us, ring announcer Michael Buffer is waiting to deliver the particulars on the technical knockout, but he has to await a cue from Britain's Sky Television, which is the host broadcaster for the event. So as Golovkin poses for photographs behind Michael Buffer, Buffer waits for a cue from Sky Television, and the questions are continuing over in Kell Brook's corner, where the fighter, his brother, and perhaps some others are interested in an explanation as to why the fight was stopped. A sense of anticlimax
Ladies and gentlemen,
at the O2 Arena. And now here's Michael.
The red corner indicated to referee Marlon Wright to call a halt to the contest. Challenger retires, the winner by TKO victory. His record now 36-0, 33 KOs, 23 consecutive wins by knockout. Still the undefeated, universally recognized middleweight champion of the world, Gennady Golovkin, a.k.a. Triple G.
Plug.
So we now wait at ringside for our turn to interview the fighters. And once again, the host broadcaster is Sky Television. Most likely both Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook will be interviewed first by British television broadcasters before they are brought over to us. Bernard Hopkins, a quick recap on what we saw in less than 5 rounds of action. The first round was exciting. The third round was tremendously exciting. The second round was an education of sorts as Kell Brook outboxed Gennady Golovkin and landed some clean shots. All in all, a vulnerable-looking Golovkin nevertheless walked away with a TKO victory.
yes, a victory is a victory. You know, this fight here showed a lot. It showed a lot about Kell. He really came in there with a game plan based on being in the fight enough where he made Triple G look vulnerable. And you know, Triple G did his job. He threw a lot of punches, but not as effective as we used to seeing him as throwing punches. And to me, I seen a vulnerable night. I seen an opportunity for Kell Brook to be able to make history. But you know, you can't charge, and I would not charge Triple G for the way the fight ended. It ended because obviously the corner was looking out for their fighter. I'm looking forward what's next. I'm looking forward to see a middleweight make history by defenses, and whatever he do after that will be good for himself, but also good for the history, the sport of boxing.
Because of what we saw, I think one question that's likely to come up immediately following the fight right now in post-fight interviews was this firestorm of web speculation in the United States yesterday that Golovkin was in some way ill, that he was compromised going into the fight. No doubt that becomes a question in the mind of many fans now after he looked less than like Triple G for much of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look like Triple G that I used to seeing, so maybe with some little truth to that. We will find out later on, but listen, even being sick if he was, he showed power. He also showed that he deserved to be in this position. I'm just excited to watch, to see what happens next, who he fight next. Hope is someone that we all care about to see. And you know what? Right now in the middleweight division, I can say Jim is in good hands and is being talked about on a high stage.
Well, maybe Golovkin looked vulnerable enough tonight that we have a chance to see some of the big fights against big-name opponents that we've been waiting for and that he has not been able to attract so far. Meanwhile, I'm being told by our producer, Dave Harmon, that we are going to show the entire fifth round now to look back at it. And it's going on right now to look at what happened in the fifth round, but I must tell you that we have no ringside monitor, so while you at home can see it, we can't. Well, let's step back over to our announce position here. So here's what's going on in the fifth round, and at this point, it appears, Bernard, that Golovkin has gotten Brook into trouble.
Yes, he has him in trouble because he's on the ropes, but a lot of those punches went over the top. As you see, Kell Brook put his hands up, he ain't doing nothing, and he didn't get hit with 4 or 5 of those punches. But this is where I see that he has an opportunity now, that is Kell Brook, to be able to throw that jab and throw that right hand, and maybe get Triple G to run into something. But he didn't get that opportunity, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, I'm getting into the position right now, and here comes Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now here's Gennady Golovkin at ringside, and Gennady, we've just been showing our viewers everything that happened in round 5. I think there was a surprise to a lot of people when Dominic Ingle in Brook's corner chose to throw in the towel. Were you as surprised as everyone at ringside by that?
No, this is not a surprise. Just first of all, respect Kell. Kell, he's a good fighter. He's a huge fighter. And he's not middleweight. You know, he's not his division.
And you could tell that from the first round that he was not, in fact, big enough or strong enough to give a good account of himself in the fight. Is that right?
Yes, you're right. I promise bring big drama show like street fight. Look, this is not boxing. This is like street fight. I feel it's finished. I feel it's game over.
But he boxed well in the second round. He counterpunched you effectively. He actually won the second round in the eyes of some judges. And there were moments in the fight when he appeared to be competitive with you. Wouldn't you agree?
You know, I think I lost all rounds. Maybe first round I beat him, and second round just knocked him down. And I feel it's finished. You know, maybe a couple rounds more and that's it. Because, you know, I don't feel power. I don't feel. Yeah, he touched me, and I don't feel.
You did some wild swinging. Were you trying to go ahead and get the knockout immediately?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I want first round now. Just able to tell me, just take your time. Just not boxing, just pressing him because he's broken.
Bernard, you have a question for Gennady?
Did you feel any threat in any round where you feel that you have to be cautious or careful once you felt his power? Did you respect his power to be able to be cautious walking in?
Yeah, but I don't feel his power. I feel his distance. He has great distance. You know, he fielded me, and after the second round, I understand it's not boxing. I need street fight. Like, you know, just broke him. That's it.
There was a sudden outbreak of speculation on the web, particularly in America yesterday, that you were sick, that you had an illness, that you didn't feel good at the weigh-in, that you looked pale, etc. Is any of that true?
No, this is not true. I feel it's great just because I'm not smile. This is serious business. This is serious business. I know, I understand this business, and I understand my situation in middleweight division. I feel after the first round, he's not middleweight, and I'm not scared.
1 to 10, how would you rate yourself in this? From 1 to 10, how would you rate this fight? Your
performance.
My performance, 3 or 4.
Not good.
Not good, yeah. I promise bring drama show.
So the reason you would say 3 or 4 is because you were too anxious to go ahead and get the knockout. Is that right?
Yeah, because I'm today just not boxing, not like world class, boxing world class. Like street fight, like sparring. This is like sparring.
All right, well, you need the focus and concentration of fighting the best in the world. Abel, let's bring in your trainer, Abel Sanchez, here for a moment. Abel, what were you saying to Gennady throughout the fight? He says it was a 3 or a 4. How did you feel about his performance?
About a 4. Yes, he was trying too hard to knock Kell out. The not smiling yesterday. He had an hour and 40-minute ride. He was upset. He wanted to get on the scale and get out of here, but he just was trying too hard. I was trying to tell him this is a 12-round fight. Just beat on him, practice. I wanted him to use the jab more. He's used it half the round and then he wouldn't use it. But the corner did the right thing. It was a matter of time. He was taking too many clean shots. At that point where they stopped it, it was over. I mean, Gennady knew it was over and he was touching him with too many clean shots. I think something's wrong with his eye, and the heavy hands eventually were going to hurt him permanent.
You're talking about Brook's right eye, which began to swell almost immediately after Gennady landed a left hook in the first round. Did Dominic say something to you about that when you spoke to him afterward in the corner?
Actually, I noticed that in the second round. He kept pointing to it and kept touching it. Kell did. And Dom did say something, and something was wrong with his eye. But it wasn't so much his eye. He was just getting touched with too many clean shots. And that can be very dangerous.
He's a skilled fighter. He's very marketable. He's got a future. Do you think that Dominic was thinking of protecting his future when he stopped the fight?
Oh, absolutely. Very skilled. But he's a welterweight with faster hands and faster feet, as we discussed in the meetings. We knew that he was going to be fast, but we knew in time we were going to break him down. It's just that he was a little anxious. He was reaching a little too much with his hook, but he wanted to put on a show for the crowd. He allowed himself to get into a bar fight, and he didn't look as good as we wanted him to, but we won.
The only other fighter with a middleweight belt right now is Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo Alvarez still has, in the eyes of many, the so-called lineal championship. Who do you want to fight next?
Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders, because my goal is all the belts in the middle division. Just I want unification fight. I need my last belt.
Thank you, Gennady. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Abel, thank you. We'll let these guys get out of here, and now we're going to bring in Kell Brook. And I'll move over to the side. All right. Kell, if you can stand right here, face our camera. Oh, you want to move him over there? Excuse me, Kell. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so everybody was surprised when Dominic got up on the apron and held the towel. Was that about the swelling in your right eye?
Yeah, a few rounds before that, I told him my eye's gone. I think Triple G, obviously, the true champion, he's seen me. I could see 3 or 4 of them out there in this right eye. This one was okay, but when you're moving and you're in a fight, it were hard to see him. And, I'm very frustrated. I had so much more to give. I stood there at times. I was starting to settle into the fight. And I believe that I would have took over. The middle to the last part of the fight.
But nevertheless, the fight gets stopped. Now, that right eye got touched by a left hook in the first round, but in the second round, you counterpunched effectively. I thought you won the round. Did you feel like you had something that you could build on after round number 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, I was cautious the first round, but I thought all this hype about him, as the fight got on, I thought he's just a man like me. And I was getting more and more confidence. I was getting into the fight. The second round, my eye went, and I was coming. It's hard to explain, but the fact is, he's a warrior. I don't want to take anything away from him, but my eye, I was struggling to see out of one eye.
Bernard, you have a question for Kell Brook?
Yes, even though you said your eye was affecting you, and you seem to me is functioning pretty well with it, and one maybe a round or two. And do you feel that the stoppage was warranted? Did you still feel that you could have fought on?
Absolutely. You know, with a fight with this magnitude of a fight, it should have carried on. Dominic King will see me probably from 9-year-old coming through. He's watching from the outside. I don't know what's going through his mind, but me as a fighter, as a warrior, I want to carry on. Knock me out.
Going forward, are you a 154-pound fighter? Are you a 160-pound fighter? You going back to welterweight? What do you think about that at this moment?
It was so easy coming up to. Weren't easy, but it were nice coming to 160. I think I'll be strong and I'll be more comfortable at 154, and I will take over 154 division.
Thank you very much, Kell. Congratulations on a good showing, and we'll see you again. So Kell Brook goes away after putting up his effort here tonight against Gennady Golovkin, and the Golovkin legend continues with knockout number 23 in a row. Where does this train go from here, Bernard?
To the next stop. And that next stop, hopefully for boxing's sake, it will be someone that everybody know what they want to see. And he deserved to have that unification, but he also deserved to fight the best because, I think he's running out of bodies.
Did he look vulnerable enough tonight that we might see him fight Canelo Alvarez before a year from now in September, which is the date that everybody now seems to speculate on as the earliest possible date for those two?
Possibly, but since now he's been aware of that, and since he might to himself say that, yes, he didn't feel one way, maybe he was sick, maybe he was half sick, who knows? Y'all missed that opportunity. That opportunity is gone because I believe now that he's going to be 100% ready, especially if it's a fight with a meaning to it, to boxing history and to himself.
So the fighting star from Karaganda, Kazakhstan, builds on his unbeaten record, builds on his historic knockout streak, and looks to see what will happen next. Gennady Golovkin has conquered New York, has conquered Los Angeles, now has conquered London. The rest of the world still awaits the continuation of the Triple G legend. Thanks very much for being with us on this special edition of World Championship Boxing. A variety of different programs coming your way in the coming months from HBO. From next week's pay-per-view matchup between Canelo and Liam Smith, to Bill Simmons' weekly show, the next Real Sports, and then the fall season premiere of my show, The Fight Game, and the just-announced rematch between Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko, all capped off by Kovalev Ward in November. For a full rundown of our entire schedule, check out HBO.com. Later tonight, more live boxing here on HBO. Chocolatito Gonzalez goes for a title in a 4th weight class against Carlos Cuadras. Following that, if you missed any part of Golovkin against Brook, you can see a replay of today's fight in its entirety. After the replay, stay tuned for the premiere of Road to Canelo Smith as we follow Canelo Alvarez and Liam Smith while they prepare for next week's matchup. And now for our entire HBO broadcast team in London, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long and thanks for watching this special edition of World Championship Boxing.